Imagine standing in a city at night. Cranes everywhere, glass towers glowing, construction crews working at 3 a.m. Money's cheap, confidence is high. Everyone says this boom is different. And yet, quietly, this is usually the moment the bust is already guaranteed. Not because people stopped investing, but because they invested too much in the wrong places, for the wrong reasons, at exactly the wrong time. This is the uncomfortable core of something called monetary overinvestment theory. And once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. Right now, this matters more than most people realize, because we've just lived through one of the largest monetary experiments in history. Years of near zero interest rates, trillions created with a keystroke, asset prices that rose faster than incomes, productivity, or reality. And the question hanging in the air is simple, but dangerous. Did we build real value, or just very expensive mistakes? Let's rewind. Picture an economy like a long road trip. Savings are the fuel. Interest rates are the speed limit. Investment is how far you decide to drive today versus tomorrow. When people save more, fuel builds up. The speed limit naturally drops. It becomes safer to take longer trips. Big projects, slow projects, patient projects, factories, infrastructure, technology that takes years to pay off. That's healthy investment. Now imagine the speed limit suddenly drops, not because there's more fuel, but because someone moved the sign. That's what easy money does. Central banks push interest rates down. Borrowing becomes cheap. Projects that used to look risky now look profitable on paper. Developers build more. Startups multiply. Investors stretch further out on the risk curve. Nothing feels wrong at first. In fact, it feels amazing. Employment rises, GDP ticks up, asset prices climb. This is where the story gets tricky, because monetary overinvestment theory doesn't say investment is bad. It says misguided investment is dangerous. The problem isn't that money flows, it's that money lies. Low interest rates send a signal. They say, society has saved enough to support long-term projects. But when those rates are pushed down artificially, the signal is false. It's like being told there's plenty of food for a long winter, so you build a huge house, only to discover spring never came. Projects get started that only make sense under cheap money. Office towers assuming endless demand. Tech companies burning cash assuming infinite funding rounds. Housing developments priced for salaries that don't exist. These investments aren't insane. They're logical, given the signal. That's the irony. People aren't acting foolish, they're acting rationally based on distorted information. And distortion always shows up later. Here's the quiet mechanism most people miss. When interest rates are low, the future becomes cheap. You discount tomorrow less. You pull value forward. A dollar earned 10 years from now suddenly looks almost as good as a dollar today. That encourages longer, more complex production chains, more steps, more layers, more dependence on conditions staying perfect. But real economies don't stay perfect. Eventually, inflation creeps in, or a currency weakens, or supply chains strain, or political pressure builds. Rates rise, and suddenly the math flips. Projects that looked profitable at 2% stop working at 5%. Cash flows that were future rich become present poor. The mistake isn't revealed at the start, it's revealed at the end. That's why booms don't collapse quietly. They snap. Construction halts mid-project. Startups fire half their staff. Assets that were long-term investments get dumped at any price. Not because people changed their minds, but because the underlying math changed. This is where hype and reality part ways. During the boom, stories dominate. This time is different. Technology changed everything. Old rules don't apply. And some of that is always true. Technology does change things. Productivity does improve. New industries do emerge. The problem is scale. Easy money doesn't just fund the best ideas, it funds almost all ideas. Good ones, average ones, and a lot of bad ones. When capital is scarce, selection is brutal. When capital is abundant, mistakes hide. For a while. Think of it like overwatering a plant. At first, it grows fast, leaves everywhere, looks healthy, but the roots weaken. They don't need to search, they don't need to compete. Then the water stops, and the plant collapses. Not because there wasn't growth, but because there was too much, too easily. Zoom out. This doesn't just affect businesses, it reshapes entire societies. Cities built around industries that can't survive normal interest rates. Workforces trained for jobs that only exist in bubbles. Pension funds depending on asset prices that assume permanent cheap money. When the correction comes, it feels unfair. People say, no one could have known. But the pattern is old. 1920s credit boom, post-war overexpansion, Japan in the 1980s, the housing bubble of the 2000s, the post-2020 everything bubble. Different assets, same structure. Artificially cheap money, overextended investment, delayed consequences. And here's the part that makes people uncomfortable. The cleanup phase isn't optional. You can delay it, you can soften it, you can rename it, but you can't erase it. Misallocated capital has to be reallocated. Bad investments have to be written down. Reality eventually reasserts its price. The longer the distortion lasts, the more painful the adjustment. Which brings us to now. We're in the aftermath phase. Not total collapse, not full recovery, something in between. Rates higher than before, capital more cautious, projects being quietly canceled rather than loudly announced. The cranes disappear one by one. And the question isn't, will there be growth again? There always is. The question is, how much of what we built was actually needed, and how much was just a side effect of money being too easy for too long? That's the unresolved tension at the heart of monetary overinvestment theory. It doesn't predict exact crashes. It doesn't give dates. It offers something more unsettling. A way to look at prosperity and ask, is this real demand or borrowed confidence from the future? Because the most dangerous bubbles don't feel reckless. They feel reasonable. And the most expensive mistakes don't look like mistakes until the bill finally arrives.